Hello, 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 for probably something that's like probably the 750th time I've said something like this. Who knows? But welcome to the 11th anniversary on YouTube show, I guess. it about actually slipped to my mind that it's been like 11 years since I started playing around here. Now, going all the way back to, I think my first comic book video might be December 2nd, December of 2010. Hey, John C. But basically, when I had a YouTube account, for like, I think I opened it like in 2007 or something like that. It was trying to find old videos, watching shoes. Those a time when YouTube was a completely different beast back then. For, sort of like these weird internet celebrities that were singing things like Chocolate Rain, singing about shoes. And then all of a sudden, I went to a few concerts, uploaded a few things off my phone so I could find it. And then I moved into a house where I was going to be putting all my comic book boxes into this huge, good size walk in closet. So I decided I was going to put one video up for me of each box, showing what was in each box, each long box, each comic book box, so that if I ever wanted to go find my comics, I'd just look at the number that coincides with the video. Little did I know that a certain Captain Strangelife, godfather of the comic community, guy that started all this, found my video, and he and a guy named Constant Bromstar, Dick and Howlett, and quite a few other ones were all of a sudden like, hey, there's a new guy, and he's a Kirby guy. The next thing I know, there's this community on here, right? Little did I know that despite quitting 2 or 3 times, taking breaks a couple of times, and over 11 years, really small amount of time that amounts to nothing when you look at a total of 11 years. No idea that I'd still be making videos one way or the other, mostly for fun. And what I've done is it's going to be sort of like a clip show, I guess, a little experiment here where I will be sharing a playlist I made of videos. Now, YouTube has always been something on the side. I started out when things got rolling, I would make a video a week. You probably wake up on your Sunday morning and find a Howler Mouse video. And over the years, I've had some great experiences, met some great people, had people have fan art. The channel was actually sort of big there in the mid 2000 teens and stuff, to where I wasn't comfortable with it, but we'll cover that. But I just had a piece of art. I was going to show you my favorite thing that a guy named Scott X used to do. Scott X, who used to have a channel, Scotty X, he made me. I had it right here. But anyway, he made this fantastic piece of dark side art that I've carried around for years. Met a lot of great people, had a lot of great hangouts in front of and behind the camera, met all sorts of people through YouTube, met them in real life. Got a big chuckle of meeting people and stuff. And then about the last 5 years, it was what it was. Okay. I sort of, it was really amazing how my enthusiasm sort of matches how good the comics are that are coming out, even though I show mostly old comics and comic book history. And I used to show you how to, haggle and where to go to flea markets and yard sales. And I feel really lucky that I was around a big bunch of people, 10, 11, 13, well, 2010, 2011, 2012. We were sort of came up with all the formats here, right? Hey, what's up? Comic collectors coming in, right? So, like I said, I've made a playlist, Howler's greatest hits in quotes, because I think that's hilarious. But when people would find out I had this channel, and and there's like tons of stories that have come out of this YouTube for something I just did on the side. Mostly 99% of it was for fun. And I'll show instead of keep talking here in a minute, man. But it just really amazes me all the memories that have come with this. Even though YouTube celebrity was nothing I went for, nor do I feel like I ever truly achieved at all. Saying that out loud and hearing it, I'm like, how obtuse, because that is not my intentions. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I never thought 11 years I would still be, playing around doing this on the side. And like I said, interest waned and flowed with how often I did this and some of the drama and the crap that came along with it and size. But what I've done is the playlist is, I think, is an honest representation. Okay. I used to joke with people who would find that. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been doing YouTube for years, but I only have like 10 videos worth watching. I'm gonna go ahead and give the comic collector this one. Yeah, I hate Booster Gold, and I'll show that video up. Either you went ahead and looked at the playlist, or you have watched for a while. But in all honesty, I still have a few people who check in who have been there from my first year on YouTube who still pop in and let me know they're still out there. The biggest one that comes to mind is Super Gray Hulk, and it really blows my mind all the people over the years who have come in and out of the community, how it's gotten big, and now we've reached a point where there's people that have no idea how this started. I picture it sort of like TV when I was growing up, like it's like it's just always been there, you know. So yeah, a lot of the formats and stuff, I was really happy to be not so much on the ground level, but maybe the first step. I've always said that there was a first generation, and I came in at 1.5, and then the second generation came in. I'm that one guy that came in the middle of all that. So it was fantastic way back in the day. So I'm doing an experiment here. We'll do a little clip show. I'm going to kind of speed through these things, but I've just got a bunch of random videos from over the years that popped in my head. These are not the best. These are not the greatest. In fact, and actually, it really blows my mind how a lot of these were, of course, because I never thought I would really ever take this seriously. But I, you know, it took years before I got a real camera, and that was sent to me by Marky 316. Excuse me. We just had dinner upstairs. Anyway, but I never really took it serious. I never worried about lighting. Never really looked about being professional and stuff. But I guess if I had known, I would have been years. You know, maybe things would be different. So a lot of these videos are shot on phones, old phones from 2010, 11, 12. Shot on potato cameras, laptop. Some of the sound quality is horrible, but back then it was the standard. You know, so and a lot of my videos, looking back on them, are pretty dry. But you have to understand, it was like I was talking in my mind to 4 or 5 friends here on YouTube talking about comics and stuff, right? So it blows my mind going back and looking at that stuff, actually how young I look and everything. And so let's go ahead and get to see what we can do here. Good old days. Yeah. Look at that. All right. So I'm going to be, here we go. Yeah. Where's V? Ah! All right. Good morning, guys. Let me get my coffee. The coffee. Always had to have the coffee the back days. Ghost Critic to do a top 10 comics of mine. It's that sweet spot. Sweet spot is the writer and artist, whatever, everybody involved. They just hit that spot where they are telling a comic book story. They're not pitching a movie idea. They're not trying to make a big screen a movie, you know, in the book. Nothing wrong with that. You know, some great stuff came out of that. But to me, there's a way of storytelling in comics that can only happen in comics. It draws you in. Time is set aside. You reread the book. It you know, they make you think, or they make you have a feeling. And as I get into these books, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, I want to stop right there, right? Little commentary here, right? Now, this is back in the day. A guy named Jean Paul Ace Peter. Let me get back in here on screen. Okay, a guy named Jean Paul Ace Peter had started one of the first tag videos sort of thing where we'd make a playlist where he put out the challenge of show your top 10 books. So there's probably a playlist still there. And so I did it. But a lot of other people that were on here, when they showed their top 10 list, they got in there and they showed their top CGC books, their most valuable comics and stuff, right? And me being me, with, you know, to me, the most valuable comics are the ones that I have the best memories with. Okay, the ones that I've read, the stories that grabbed me, because like I said right there, it's always been about storytelling with me in comics, right? So this is where I ended up sticking out. I didn't realize it at the time. Somebody had to point out, they were like, "You're the only one to do actual comics and stories." I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I did." Yeah, that's where my mind went. My top 10 favorite comics, the things that I thought were that sweet spot, where a writer and artist, or the team, or one person, you know, depending on the comic and stuff, where they wrote a great freaking comic. Okay, so that's the top 10 there, right? Now, that's fantastic to go back and look at. I don't know if that playlist is still there in my playlist that's public. But man, this was awesome. It had Jean Paul Ace Peter, a lot of those original YouTubers you can find if you go look for the top 10 comics playlist, if I still have it. Because a lot of people have shut down channels and the videos disappeared forever. And it was just really interesting to see people talk about it. So yeah, that's one of the things about my old videos. I kind of joke around because around 2016 and 17, I really slowed down giving comic book history and tips and stuff because it was around that time, I think around 2015, people were giving me a heads up that there was some guy that worked at a newspaper down in Florida who has or had a YouTube channel, was taking my videos and pretty much making a living with a newspaper, taking my videos, not citing me, not giving me a heads up, not asking permission, and allegedly was making articles in newspapers about comics and comic culture for my videos. And at first I was like, well, that's what you get. It's the internet. You put it out there, that's what you get. And then all of a sudden it was like, I think I started stewing on it subconsciously, and it really started bothering me. And I started looking around. So there's a lot of things out there that there's gonna be 2, 3 videos here, good and bad, that I'm gonna pop up and show where the proof's in the pudding. The video is there, then you can see what came after on a few things. Okay, so let's see what we got next here. Okay, give me a little difficulty here. Give me just a minute. Let me get out of this. Now this next video,
all right, guys, today we're going to be talking about She-Hulk. One of my favorite covers of She-Hulk there from one of my favorite movies.
It's 11 years, J-Rock. 11 years, I found out. I thought it was 10 myself.
It's the sensational She-Hulk series, Volume 2, where John Byrne had come back from Marvel after spending a couple years doing Superman. From a reader standpoint, from what I can kind of see, is that when he came back to Marvel from DC, he was doing Starbrand and Superman at the same time. And I believe I did a count one time where John Byrne had done, within a span of 3 or 4 years, had done probably 94 issues of Superman, of writing, penciling, plotting, anything to do with Superman. So when he came back to Marvel around, but it just kind of blew me away. I was like, Walt Simonson, heard me talking. Basically, what we
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently.
We'll stop it right there. Money to the station. Okay, the significance of this video, the She-Hulk video, that I just kind of showed, and I can't believe that it had advertisement there at the end, is that this was the video that made my channel pop by 2011 standards, probably back in the early day. This is when things finally started getting comfortable. I found a format that worked for me of showing the comics and being able to talk and being comfortable in the room and stuff, because you really have to remember that YouTube is a lot at that time. You had Captain Strangelove who had set up his living room, right? And it felt like in some kind of show that should have been on there, right? Then other people would be walking around the rooms. We were figuring it out at the time, right? We were making the formats that a lot of people see nowadays and don't think a thing about, and this was the one video where, like, I was finally comfortable. I knew what to talk about, and what happened was I gotten to know the early people, the people like Constant Bromstar, Dakin Howlett, 123 Comic Man, Cacti 88, CTC Spirit, and we'd been able to like talk on Skype before it had a camera. I think that's what it was, like, or something, right? But we talked to each other. So when I started making the videos, that's why we started calling it a community, because I was talking to 3 or 4 of them. You know what I mean? And then some of these videos would not inspire, but we would jump. I would say, hey man, Constant Bromstar just made this video about Jack Kirby. Well, here's what I want to add to it, and check it out, Constant Bromstar, and let me know. And that's how we worked. It felt like we were making I'm speaking for myself, but some other people said that. But all of a sudden, that's the format became very comfortable. And then you started talking, like you talk to your friends about comic books, and this is your way to show your collection to them, right? So this is the video where all of a sudden it's like I started getting more views out of people who I didn't know were out there watching, and they were probably looking for content and stuff, right? So yeah, this was the video where everything came together, is what I'm getting at, and it was a fantastic time, right? Everything was coming together. So yeah, I'm very fond of that movie, and go figure, it's John Byrne and She-Hulk, a series that I loved way back in the day. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Oh yeah. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah. This is a good one. We'll actually watch this one for a minute.
Hey, what's up, guys? I was sitting here just kind of
Potato
wondering why the hell I
camera.
have a lamp on when the sun's shining. But yeah, I'm glad you joined me today and stuff because I found something today. For you new guys and new subscribers, people who aren't subscribed to me yet,
Oh,
which you should
Tylox
be
is there. Thanks,
subscribed
man.
anyway. You know, this is a comic book channel. We talk about hauls, stuff we buy, comic book related stuff. Every now and then, we do kind of a comic book
Look at that
review.
hairline.
I'll pick out old
It's
stuff.
worse now. That's
And
hilarious.
I've been doing this for like about 3 years, creeping up on it, and there's a handful of people who
I
been
still
making
have
these
this.
videos a little
I
bit
still
longer,
have
but,
that
longer
robe.
than I have and stuff. Just a handful now. People come and gone, but in about the last year, this community on here of other people who make videos and like talk about
It's not
comics and
me.
stuff has really blown up. I don't know if we can really call it a community anymore, man, because like there are neighborhoods in this community that I've never been through of people who are doing their own thing. It was over in Great Britain, and then I heard parts unknown. The tapes just took a life of their own and was floating around, and it was a cool.
So basically, what this is that the comic community had been around. It was starting to get bigger, and then there were people making videos who didn't acknowledge us, even though we knew who they were. And there were certain people who would reach out to them, and some people, good and bad, who would try to act like there were rules. We actually found out there was somebody trying to act like there were rules on if you're going to be part of the comic community of what you can do and what you can't. And that blew up, a little bit after this video, which was ridiculous. We didn't know this person was doing that. But anyway, what I did is this was a joke. I was sitting around bored, not bored, but I was sitting around one morning playing with an idea of like Mystery Science Theater totally inspired this video because at the end of a Mystery Science Theater episode, after they do the credits, you'll see a little phrase roll up that says keep distributing those tapes. They encourage people to record Mystery Science Theater and mail it to their friends so they can watch it and pass the tapes around and stuff, right? So I was like, wouldn't it be great? Am I having problems here? Can y'all hear me? Just making sure I'm getting some weird stuff here. Hold on. Anyway, so I had this idea of like, that's how we could have had a YouTube comic. That's how we could have had a comic book community way back in the day. So my idea was that I made a parody video where I was acting like we had these VHS tapes that we mailed to each other back in the day, back in 1980. I found one from 1984. I show a box of cassettes here, and then I go into acting like it's one of the videos, and I do a skit like it's 1984. I got old toys on the background. You'll see here in a minute, I got a bad wig. I'm talking about Kiss. And I go in there because I channeled that year. I remembered that year, pulled out some comics like I bought them. And there's some funny stuff in there if you can hang in there, right? But one of the biggest mistakes I made is I showed the back advertisement of some Power Lord toys on the back of one of them, said I wanted them. They're laying beside me on the bed. And I felt like that just ran all over me. And there are people who could not stand me on YouTube, right? For whatever reason. I don't know what the deal was. Well, it was a little bit of jealousy. It really was a jealousy. But I even had a comment from somebody who sort of started not too long after this. There was the first round of anti-Howler-Mouse videos. People saying you didn't have to be an encyclopedia to be part of this community. I don't know where any of this was coming from, but I had like about 10 to 15 videos of people just coming after me. It was really odd. So one of the people that led that charge at the time actually put in the comments that my performance pulled this video off. I thought it was hilarious. I showed it to my friends when they come over. This is like the one video where I was like, hey man, you want to see something funny? So I'm going to speed up here a little bit. This is hilarious.
Yeah, look it up. That's right.
I'm saying this is the cassette from
What's up out
1984.
there, guys? Yeah.
Look at that. Look at this. Yeah. See, this is the cassette. I'm saying that this is the VHS cassette of the 1984 comic book community that we would mail around to each other. Everybody would mail their tapes and stuff, right? And I thought it was funny that I kind of like acted like I still had the Van Dyke there. No, that's a goatee. Van Dyke is when you have the mustache. The goatee is actually just the Billy Goat chin there, right? So yeah, I had a good time playing with this video and reminiscing about 1984, and I knew exactly what books to hold. I mean, John Byrne, Jack Kirby have been the big two for me, right? Yeah, that's the total wig that I actually combed in a different way. That wig did not look like that when it was left over from Halloween. I actually trimmed it up a little bit and stuff, right? So there's a lot of fun with this video. Like I said, it's in the playlist. This is called Lost Video Found, 1984 comic book community, VHS tape, whatever. I didn't know about clickbait titles back then. I was making this for my friends and stuff, right? I actually tried to come up with the idea of like, if I want to spoil a book, I wish I could come up with a term to warn you I'm about to spoil the book. And one of my friends cracked up because I was talking about Swamp Thing, number 21, number 20, the anatomy lesson. And I said, man, it's like this book has got all kinds of scary stuff in it, like blood and water. It was just so funny. I mean, I thought this is the kind of humor that I have with my friends in real life. So if you don't think it's funny, that's cool. But this is how we all joked back in the day, man. This is one of the videos where I know a couple of my friends I showed this to in real life, you know, not watching you. They're not into YouTube or watch YouTube or anything like that, like this. They got a kick out of it. But I was not being humbled, and that was good enough for me. But yeah, this was a fun video to make. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh man, let's go back. It has an opening here that apparently I went right past. Is it coming? Yeah. Nope. It's not on there. My bad. Apparently that's a thumbnail that I thought was the opening. I used to have a few intros to some of these videos. Now this one was this one right here with about Eric Powell and the Goon and everything. This was one of the few times I got a little petty, and this was a direct message to, what was his handle? I don't even think he's around anymore. Boba Fett was in his handle, and he had 2 or 3 guys for whatever reason. I never figured it out at all. They were on Twitter, and it blows my mind how back in the day people would talk on Twitter like you weren't going to see it right there in public. I mean, even down in the South, people have manners. They wait for you to leave the room, or before they leave the room, before they talk about you. But they were just like slamming me. And somehow they brought up Eric Powell and the Goon. And I'm like, you just messed up, because going to Heroes Con, I saw Eric Powell about every year and had a ton of stuff on here. And when I made this, the Boba Fett dude or whatever, this is like this was the first time out of 2 that he actually shut his channel down. I never figured out what his problem was. So they were talking about Eric Powell, the Goon. They were going to show some kind of gigantic omnibus of Goon. I don't remember what it was, but they were sitting there on Twitter right there doing it in public. So I made this video showing the pictures of me with Eric Powell, showing all of my videos. I'm hamming it up, and I'm mugging the camera. And I think this is the one where I actually took time and did a little editing to where I would put text in there. I don't know if it shows up anymore over the years. Where I put text in showing that Eric Powell, I had like something like 25 books signed by Eric Powell or something in this one. But this was a fun video to make, because it was one of the few times I was able, that I was like, what is their problem?
Magazine or something.
Yeah, and I'm in my 70s jacket with a turtleneck.
Came on early for the dark YouTube, which doesn't mean kind of as like called they're femme fatales, and their biggest danger is that they can rip your heart apart.
Okay. Anyway, that may not be that specific video, but I made a couple on the Goon. But this was the one where I had a good time doing it, because first of all, I love the Goon. I still love the Goon. I got to talk about the Goon. But after these guys trying to like down me or something, all this stuff, I was like, well, we'll throw some comic knowledge out there. I beat them with knowledge is what I'm trying to get at. And they ran like whipped puppies. Okay, now this is the one that I gave in, and I did because it was requested of me probably for 2 or 3 years. I have to look at the date of this one, but it was requested of me. Yeah, that's me fighting Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. I'm at Heroes Con, and as you can see, they're happy to pose with the pictures with me, but I was becoming infamous for hating Blue Beetle. And a fan made me that Hallermouse shirt, but it killed me because it's in Harry Potter font. But I was still appreciative, and I wore it so they could see that I appreciated it. But anyway, so what was planned out here is these two guys decided that they were going to go ahead and pose with some pictures. You know, they were going to get a shot. All right. There we are. There we are looking at each other. He gets me right there. He clocks me. And right when it was my turn to get some pictures made of me clocking him back, all these kids ran up to these two cosplayers. Man, I don't know where they came from, man. But all of a sudden, all these kids ran up and they started posing pictures with the kids. So I backed off, man. So I ended up like, oh, great. I hate Booster Gold even more because, you know, he got the upper hand before we were done. And I remember one of the YouTubers, Mark, back in the day, and I cannot remember his handle, but Mark back in the day, there was two from England, Ghost Critic, and I can't believe the other Mark's handle, but he was like, I saw it, Booster struck first. So a lot of people got a kick out of the in jokes on the channel. If you watch the channel, we had the in jokes going and stuff, right? And it was fantastic. So for 2-3 years, like I said, I'd have to see this, but for 2-3 years, this was the one topic that I had people begging me consistently. Seriously, it was probably like about 20-25 people over the course of a year or two that they begged me to do the Why I Hate Booster Gold video. And I have no idea if it's fun. I made the opening fun on purpose because I really hate this character, and I've chilled out over the years, but I still dislike him. I could take the joke now, but Booster Gold was popping up in everything. They made Rip Hunter his dad, which pissed me off. I thought he had the origin of a villain. He stole from the Legion of Superheroes. I mean, it just all kinds of things pissed me off. Then they mixed him up with Commandy, and it just goes on and on. I'm like, Booster Gold should be a villain, man. Stop treating him like a hero. He's a freaking loser thief. Sorry, man, I'm going on my rant. So yeah, I was aware that this video could go dark. That's why I didn't want to do the video. But you know, you every now and then you have people who consistently watch your video and support what you're doing, and they're, you know, and they leave comments, and you know, you form a little relationship. So I'm like, okay, we'll do it. So the rest of the video is just me picking up comics, explaining things. And I go on way too long, even though it's just about a 20-minute rant, you know. So you guys can go watch that one if you want, but I don't think it's very fun unless you, and you got to understand, I was very positive back in the day. I still try to be positive, but things slip out. Comic books in the last 5 or 6 years make it really hard to stay positive. So this was probably, and I would actually come close to betting money that this may be the first negative video I'd made. I do reserve the right to go back and be corrected on that and stuff. Oh, cool. What's up, man? Hey, all kinds of people showing up. Good to see y'all. All right, so let's see what the next Howler Mouse's greatest hits here on our around the 11th anniversary. Oh yeah. Now this one, oh man, this is the one where it was probably my biggest failure.
Who are you?
Oh
You
man,
look...
it's not going to do it. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna take that off screen so I don't get tagged for showing a video. So bear with me here. But this is the first video that I tried to do some fancy editing with a new computer I had.
Familiar.
And I thought it failed because I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, we got it. Okay. So what I was doing is that this was an experiment. Like I said, I had a new computer, even by their standards. It was still a cheap computer. I think it was a refurbished one now that I think about it. And it had some different editing software. And I was so sad because the editing software I'd used for 3 or 4 years on the personal computer, I had down pat. It was so simple. This thing comes along. And when I was recording the voiceover, I would have everything timed out with the comic book covers you're about to see in. And the whole joke was acting like superhero comic books failed and the insect comic books took off, like Blue, you know, because I just learned that Blue Beetle had come into creation as a reaction to the Green Hornet. And then I thought Ambush Bug. So I sat here and tried to do this joke video showing how insect heroes or something, I may be remembering this wrong, insect heroes replaced superhero human heroes, if you will. And I thought it was hilarious until I went to do the voiceover. I did it 3 times and it seemed like the timing just got worse and worse. It's like it was starting to play the images faster and faster. And then I played around, tried to do some editing, and I picked the greatest take there was because I'd spent so much time on it. I'm like, screw it, I'm doing it. Now, I thought this was funny. It's all right if you don't. I think it's a failure. I really do. But like I said, I
debuted in 1938 and was a complete flop. People cannot
Superman
just
was a
grasp the
flop.
concept of superhuman people with powers. They wanted the comic books to be more human, with people taking up traits of insects as the theme for the costume. Blue Beetle became the first legacy character and has continued on to this day, almost 75 years later. With the war effort, heroes like Red Bee popped up, and just the industry blew up with many, many, many more, such as the Green Hornet, who transitioned from radio to comics. People liked their heroes human. Superman attempted to make a comeback in the early 60s
That's my
by
favorite
adopting
Superman
a
story
more
from the Silver
insect-like
Age.
persona that just did not take. His cast with the Insect Queen tried to do the same thing. Then in 1962, with the debut of Spider-Man, things started taking an awful turn. They were trying to force.
All right, so you can see I came up with this. I don't even know what the rest of the video is about because that's just the beginning. But I made this alternate history and did the theme of superhero, insect themed superheroes. You know what I mean? And at the time, I thought it was actually pretty funny. But like I said, I consider it a failure. I think it's hilarious. It's one of those videos that you either write for other people or you write for yourself. And I was actually writing for myself because I've had a job to where I drive a lot, a couple times a month to go visit clients, individuals. I'm a social worker across the state, and every now and then, man, you just kind of go for it with some of this stuff, right? So this is one of the videos where like I really stewed over this every now and then for like probably about 3 or 4 months about like that could have been better. It didn't match the vision in my head. All right, what's up, guys? All kinds of people popping in. So like I said, this isn't a playlist, Howler's greatest hits, and I do mean that sarcastically. So yeah, I mean, it's there if you want to see it. Like I said, I've always joked around and said there's probably only 10 videos that I think is worth watching. Now, this was the one where I had actually quit YouTube, right? I said I was going on hiatus, and we didn't have the term. I wasn't aware of the term and stuff like that, but there were things happening, and I've got some of the videos to show. There was things happening with I was getting, the community had broken half. A lot of people that I hung out with, this is where they left. There were people coming in from the video game communities who didn't know anything about comic books. Gamergate had happened, and the community started getting, not only did a lot of people leave because of one certain person pretty much breaking the community in half, being all wanting clicks and drama and doing some dirty crap. I mean, actually trying to get people fired from their jobs and stuff. The thing, it just got very dark in a way. Seeing your friends go, seeing some of them not really talking to you anymore, and then the comics coming up, and then I mean, I don't want to be I'm just telling you what happened at the time. I'm reporting the weather. But like I started getting, I think I got some of the videos in here. I started getting weird, very strange people telling me what kind of videos to make. It's just kind of really weird, and I'd had people pile up on me in some videos about a year or two before this. So I said I was taking a break, but it was actually done. And luckily, people in real life and a few people that I had gotten to know over the phone sort of was like, take a break, bring me back. So what I did is I went back to my roots. And this is a video where I shot with my phone over the course of like, I don't know, 2-3 days, where I went back to my home. No, I did it in one day. The editing took 2 or 3 days. But I went around my hometown and showed all the abandoned buildings and places of where I bought my comics when I was a kid. There's only maybe 1 or 2 places I didn't get in there. But it ended up being very cathartic. And then one of the people that I showed in real life the video said I needed an opening. So I shot this on the fly. And this was actually me coming back when people didn't actually know I'd quit. I think I said, probably I'm just taking a break. And I decided I was done. So I actually had people saying, encourage me to come back, which was actually pretty good. It's kind of nice to be a little appreciated, I guess. It's a weird feeling. But what really got me is that I'm going to be very apologetic right now, but it was either Clouded Journey or Red Vitamin Blue. And I'm saying it's Red Vitamin Blue. These are YouTubers and guys who commented on, the guys who appreciated the comic book history I did when I was very dry, like a school teacher and Ferris Bueller and stuff, right? But I was very dry. They appreciated the knowledge, I guess, right? They would have great, fantastic comments talking back to me, right? Well, I think Red Vitamin Blue, And 2, 3 other people did this as well. That I'm thinking about it. But Red Bottom Blue is the one where he actually did the same type of video. And in the video, it was old school community. He was saying Howler Mouse did this video, and I'm doing the same thing. And I saw him towards the end of his video stop when he was on a trail. He was going around showing the places that he used to buy his comics and the little trails he'd walk from school. And he stopped and he said, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm in a dark version of Stand By Me in my life. And I'm like, he hit that sweet spot. Because I'm telling you, when you revisit your childhood places after not being there for years and you're walking the same path you did as a kid, there's something very special and a little bit dark that happens. Memories come back. You're in the same place. You're looking around. I've shot a couple videos like that, and I talked a lot about being a kid and the memories that come back. All right. Yeah, Comic Crack is in there. He remembers him. Crack's been around quite a while. Let me tell you something there. So anyway, this video was fun to make. I get a kick out of the opening because I made this up on the fly. I just lost 25 pounds too working out when I was off YouTube.
Holy shit, I'm back on YouTube.
Kirby Fish Productions. Yeah. So yeah, if you go through there and stuff, I talk about quite a few places about growing up, when and where and stuff, right? So that was kind of cool. That actually used to be my trailer, and I had a good time making that video. Very cathartic, very fun. I would do that. I would do those type of videos all day long if I had the time and if I had an editing crew and and all kinds of stuff like that. I would have a great time doing that. Cat's in here. What do we got next? Now this is one that I have been told really brought the community, really made people come out of their shell and call this a community, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe Crack was around back then. I don't know. Maybe he's watching it, right? But this is called Reflections. And what I did on this one is that this is where I made the video of like how much YouTube comic book community had enriched my life, man. It was so great to, despite the distance and stuff, to really be talking about to people about comic books again and seeing like-minded people and seeing people's collections. I've been building my collection up since 1979, and from 77 to 79, it was my uncle and stepdad's collection I've been reading. I still have some of those books and stuff, right? I still have some of those, right? So all of a sudden, there's these other people who have been collecting for decades and around the same time. And they were older than me, but I kept up with them and stuff, right? So I make this video. There was somebody that sent something very nice to me. He's not even a footnote in the comic book community. I kind of hate that he's even in this, but it is what it is. And this is some fan art and stuff that people have sent me in the 2000s when I was on comicboards.com that I put in there. I'd saved this on my computer forever. They came up, back Howler Mouse, Mike Back and stuff. Some great guys there.
A lot of people have.
But I'm going to get up here.
I know a few people.
There's oh man, that was the Kirby knife. I forgot all about that. I still have it here somewhere, man. One of the staples in my videos that I would play with is that I'd have ongoing jokes and stuff, but I had my Kirby knife to do unboxing videos on. And there were people who hated unboxing videos. It blows my mind they're still there. But in this, I give my appreciation for the comic book community, how it's enriched my life. And then I start talking about how comic books have enriched my life. And there's a playlist called Reflections of a lot of people coming out and being cathartic.
That feeling of nostalgia, but it's 1979. I'm 6 years old. I'm in a car full of young adults, might as well be on that 70s show, and I have just bought a comic at Raven Drugstore. It's 1983. My grandfather had just passed away, and I just had to get away, and I walk across the street, and I find Legion of Superheroes 300, a very nice old lady who runs the little malt shop, and
I just noticed that was the upgrade of that book.
Comfort. I'm 12 years old. It's Halloween night.
This was described as my Dr. Manhattan moment, where I'm going through my life, showing the comics that happened at the month and what was going on at the time when I bought this.
And my mom is getting on to me because I'm ignoring this girl who has a huge crush on me. And I put my foot in my mouth saying, I don't care. I got to read what happened here.
Picked comics over girls at age 11. That's right.
I'm 13. I joined the wrestling team and was loving it. And
was walking, I think maybe 4 or 5 miles home after school.
So anyway, yeah. So at towards the end of that video, I think now that I'm watching this, I think there's a lot of honesty that people appreciated in that one. Oh, great. Thanks, man. It's nice things being said in the thing, but like I think I'm finally kind of getting what caused other people to make reaction videos to this, and it wasn't reacting to what I said. They would mention I made this video, and then they would express themselves. And there's a lot of truth in there. I didn't realize I was I don't know if I was oversharing or just being honest. What I was doing is I was holding up the book. About 90% of my collection does this thing where it triggers memories, and I can tell you what was going on around in my life on them. And I go from the first comic book I ever bought all the way up to my son being born, and what comic book came out the month my son was born, and everything good and bad had happened in between. So yeah, good times, good stuff, man. Okay, we just got a few more here. Hopefully y'all can hear this stuff. Now this one is funny. All right, I figured the other one would be a little bit heavy, but this one is hilarious, not because of what happens that's not me. But what happened with this one is that I talked to a few YouTubers who were girls, and a few people who had seen me on YouTube and had talked to me
People
later.
with
Stuff.
ADHD
Hold on.
save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension. But no, by all means.
That's probably going to get me demonetized. But here's what's funny about this. And I was pretty, I don't know, I think I got a little embarrassed when I found out what had happened was. But what happened was I remember I was going somewhere, this is back when I kept the schedule on YouTube, talk to people regularly and get a regular video out all the time. And I was in a rush. I was about to get picked up by some friends or a girl or something. And so I jumped out of the shower, put on some pants. I put the robe on, right? This probably wasn't that long after the video where I did the 1984 VHS tape, right? And what I kind of got told is that this was the beefcake video, where I went back and looked at the comments at the time and some of the feedback and stuff. And apparently some people seem to appreciate a wet, hairy chested man in a robe on YouTube. And I got really embarrassed because this video at the time had 100 more views than my other videos. And I'm like, oh my. So nothing special in this one. It's just, it cracked me up. I was so comfortable feeling like I was talking to friends and
But anyway,
people.
to finish up my story, because of of the storm, I want to thank all the people on that split in half in my yard. I rent them.
So anyway, this video I threw in there because it's hilarious and it's funny, because this is the Howler Mouse Beefcake video. Oh man, we got all kinds of people commenting and hanging in there. I appreciate you guys. With the exception of one person in my personal life, I don't think anyone outside of YouTube with whom I can discuss comics I enjoy. I understand you, Tim. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm with you. I totally understand it. When I do meet somebody who hasn't talked to in real life who's into comics, you can tell they haven't, and I've done the same thing. That's why I recognize it. I smell my own. But they get real excited, and all you need to do is just sit back and let them talk about their comics, and they'll go on for 2 minutes to 5 minutes. And then you can kind of see that awkwardness where they realize that they just spilt over, All right, Comic Crack, 9-year mark. He just passed his 9-year mark. I think I've changed, or I'm going to change the title, because I looked up what I consider one of my first videos with comic books, and it's actually 11 years. Oh, nice. Yeah, those were fun back in the day when people, they don't really work nowadays because the knowledge isn't there with a lot of these young guys or new YouTubers or something. It's just not there. I've tried to watch a few, and that's one of the reasons they died. A lot of people are out for their sales on their channel. Okay. Now this one right here is probably the second. I don't know. This is probably the second video, because this was still around that time that I would really think about leaving the YouTube comic book community, because we had exposed a huge troll among us. And then there's 4 or 5 YouTubers, and some of them actually watched me. And one made a video where they really went after me with a broke heart or something later on after this video. It's another video. But anyway, but it really surprised me because there was new people coming in the community, and we had just flushed out a lot of the video gamers who were coming over here from Gamergate and trying to start the same drama that they had with Gamergate over there, thinking that people didn't really get our comic book community. Our community really lasted a long time because we took care of it, not gatekeeping. We took care of it. We gave everybody a heads up. We made it quite clear that this is a bunch of guys talking about comics. That's all we're really here for. And I don't know how far back some of you go with YouTube history and stuff, but the rise of the edgelords, the rise of what become SJWs and stuff. Oh man, I just went like Laughing Witch. Oh man, there was some, I just lost it. I can see the guy's face. Anyway, there was a YouTuber who got attacked by a woman named Laughing Witch. He was a physicist. He's still on there. Oh, what can I not think of his name? But anyway, it had made the news. It had made the news. They had written a letter to the university that this physicist works at, trying to say that he teaches Nazi propaganda, try to get him fired. And she laughed that there was nothing that could be done. And then all of a sudden, all that guy's followers found her Yelp page because she bragged about owning her own business in Baltimore that made national news. So all of a sudden, it was like YouTube was starting to get flooded with this edgelord stuff and everything, or SJW stuff, but it wasn't called SJW at the time. So it was really odd. But I saw it as like watchdogs and bullies and people trying to I don't know what they thought they were going to do, but if you watch this video, this is my level of tolerance. I had tons of people in the community. They were talking amongst themselves. I kind of tried to stay out of it, but there was some drama going on, some crazy stuff. And this is carrying over from Twitter. But Don Comic Book Junkie had made a joke about a sandwich and a girl. Then all of a sudden, some of these YouTubers have been around who I couldn't figure out why they were here because they didn't really seem to be in comics that much, even though they talked comics. They were a bunch of college kids or freshly out of college, I think. And all of a sudden it was like, they just like piled up on old Don Comic Book Junkie. And around the same time, if I remember right, one of the people who kind of associated with him, and they weren't really friends with him, started leaving death threats on Mercernaut's channel. A guy who was still there doing this stuff. Hey, thanks, Sleepy Reader. So I kind of stepped up and I told people what was going on. I mentioned no names because I'm not about that. And I just said what the behavior was, and a ton of people ran to Twitter and saw what was going on, but they were taking names of people who would associate with people. It was like a watchdog group or something. I don't know what they're doing, but they were very threatening. Now, why did I finally say something? Because they mentioned my name on the Twitter, surprised that I treated that person who they were mad at, just like I did everybody else. It made no difference to me. These are grown adults who were, you have to do something very despicable, in my opinion, before I want to really not associate with you and stuff. You're a grown man, your channel, you do your thing. But this was getting ridiculous. And what they were trying to do was cancel culture before it was a word. So I actually had, I don't want to say their names, but I had, quite a few of us YouTubers were like, we got to say something. So I got up there and I said something, and it went pretty good. That was a good one. All right, moving on. Okay, now this one, there's two videos to this one.
My passion is people at all.
So let me fix this. But this next video was Captain Strangeliffe and I, the godfather of comics and stuff. We really kind of jumped on this. I think we had a brief, I can't remember if we had a brief discussion. We haven't talked in years, except in a few comments here and there. But Captain Strangeliffe and I were really big guys about that hated censorship in any shape, way, or form. And little did we know what was coming, with this and stuff, right? But this was a reactionary video, and I actually made a petition to save the cover before the artist decided to volunteer, supposedly, and get rid of it. But it was the great Joker cover where he's behind Batgirl and he's got blood putting a smile on her and stuff. And it was quite big time. And luckily I had Captain Strangeliffe backing me on this one, but I made a petition. So I did a follow-up video on this one. Get rid of this advertisement. Okay. But what had happened was I've printed this off. Apparently this started making news at the time, right? This is before this was a place where things were getting very weird on YouTube and behind the scenes and stuff, right? But all of a sudden, my petition in my video had gotten quoted by Vox.com and Entertainment Weekly. on their website. And I printed them off here somewhere, and I've kept them somewhere, and I could probably still do it, but they never say my name in either one of those articles. They just quote me here and there. I tried to get a hold of Vox.com, man, and they refuse to talk to me. That's how I'm in, and that's where I'm laying it and stuff, right? But they were like, there's so much to unpack with what he said and everything. It was about censorship, and there was a whole ideology going on that I did not know was attached with this. People were reading into things. So that was very weird to turn around and have like this small channel. First of all, they didn't name me. That's what killed me. I was like, name me, I'll stand by what I said. And it really bothered me that they were they were cowardly with not getting back to me. So yeah, there was an actual list. Yeah, they actually let me back up here. Oh, the list, going back to the other video. All right, I was on the list, never really knew full of why. There was they were actually making a list, and I got to go back and read the video, man. But when I, like I said, I busted them without. Basically what happens with some of these videos is that if I get to that point to do them, I separate the behavior from the person. Okay. I don't know them as people. I don't want to know them as people, but I will comment on the behavior. Behavior does not define a person. So the behavior they were doing is they got on Twitter and they're making a list of people that would still associate with Don Comic Book Junkie and some other channel or two. If I go back, I can't really remember. Maybe if I watch the video all the way through, it'd come back to me and stuff. And the reason I said something is, I think I even said it in the video, you messed up. You mentioned my name without contacting me, without talking to me. I was very approachable. You know what I mean? I'm like, I will have the discussion. So yeah, they actually make a list, and I don't know what they're going to list, but it was a watchdog group. I feel like it was the PMRC of the 80s going after metal. We're going to make an enemy, and we're all going to unite. And they had no problem piling up videos on Don Comic Book Junkie, throwing the F word at him and stuff, naming his name, just smearing him. Now, it was over a joke. You know what I mean? Nobody talked to him, explained it to him about why they thought it was offensive or had a conversation. But at the same time, they don't respect that he's an adult, and whether it was a mistake or if it was funny or whatever, the consequences are his, not theirs. You don't like the channel, turn it. I'm like, yeah, but there's an actual list. It was. Okay, now this one, I want to skip one video because we'll talk about it last.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it.
Okay, hold on. All these monetization videos, I don't want to get this video. You will, there's a chance that you will get clocked if you have stuff like this in your video. But the next video I'm going to do is like one of the most fun videos to do. I did it for pure fun. I was playing around with, like I said, the new computer, I think, that I had at the time. And I was able to put my head on the cartoon body of a superhero flying. I thought it was hilarious. So what I did is I just went down the line of everybody who had routinely commented on my videos, right? It was a little bit of fan service, but it was appreciation and stuff, right? And I named off all the people I think that I watched on YouTube, and I named off all the people who we talked outside of YouTube and who commented on my videos and everything. This was the community. This was the Howler Mouse community, probably about 25% of them at the time, when we were a tight community and everybody knew everybody, it felt like. So this was fun to do. And I decided that I was Howler Mouse of Earth 3, and I have this groovy opening I made. That sign says, "We'll fight evil for comics." A lot of people really like the little comic long box tent there, the comic book box tent and stuff with my Charlie Brown shirt, and my legs really were asleep. Yeah.
I come home from work. She's sitting there and she's greeting me at the door. She's got that, that little sexy schoolgirl outfit. Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Well, here's what I did, man. I looked at her, man. I just blew up, man. I sat there and looked at her, and I was like, "No, damn it, woman! It was my turn to wear that." Yeah. So anyway, okay. Yeah. It's time for you to shoot a video. Yeah, I know. Time's up.
Now, here's what's funny. These skits at the beginning of them were actually a regular thing for a couple years. I honestly don't remember when I quit, but nobody ever put together that I was like totally ripping off Chevy Chase on season 1 of SNL with the phone call jokes. You know, I mean, I made the jokes up most of the time. I'm sure I probably ripped one or two off of them or some shape or form, but a lot of these jokes were mine. I never thought I was funny, but I was always waiting for somebody to be like, you know, I was waiting for somebody to call it out and say, I dig Chevy Chase too, or, get a reaction out of that. It's just amazing the things that I think are obvious are not obvious. I'm not that clever. But let's get to it here. But I'm sitting here explaining things about the community, and here we go. I had a lot of fun doing this. As stupid as it may look now. So anyway, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then I'd sit there and I kept that thing going. I was just naming off everybody that watched the videos, commented on the videos, sent me nice things, talked about other channels and stuff. And it was just a lot of fun. It's back when things were very light. This was actually the dawn before the dark. Okay. I mean, this is when the community was still all, nothing really bad had happened yet. Oh man, it was actually cool, man. All right, so the last video is, I'm gonna let you guys go back and look in the list. Let me make sure there's nothing else. There's one I'm kind of skipping here. So there's 2, 3 in there, man.
Using the videos and YouTube to go through my comics and kind of.
So anyway, there's a video that I have on there that went viral, and I'm not going to talk about it, but it's on there. It's the video that happened that I made, and I still stand by probably 99% of it after I was ready to have this big long talk about where the video came from, but it is what it is. It's on there. It's got 44,000 hits. And the only thing that really kills me is that a lot of SJW channels and a lot of Comicsgate, anti-SJW channels, I feel like they watched that video because Comicsgate came a year after that. And there was probably 3 or 4 channels doing what Comicsgate did before that I found that they found me or people showed them to me. The big one was Douglas Ernst. I think he's still around. But anyway, I made that video and a lot of the intent was missed, and it was probably my fault for the message and stuff. But I got pretty emotional in it, just realizing that comics have a potential of actually dying in it and stuff. And it was picked up with a lot of ideology. A year later, Comicsgate came out, and a lot of people know I was on the fence with Comicsgate because everybody's acting like I was on the side. I'm like, I don't need this drama. And it's because, and then strange things happened. That was one of the videos where all of a sudden people were trying to shut down my channel. I'd be in the middle of a live stream and get took off in the middle of the live stream. Just weird stuff was happening and stuff, right? I was getting weird messages from people telling me I need to talk about certain subjects or they'll come after me. And so and it was just getting very strange. And it was people with ideologies that didn't come together. But there's a lot of people who anti-SJW channels and about comics and stuff. And there's a lot of Comicsgate channels. Not even know if they're still around. The video is 5 years old. And I saw people just rehash stuff that I said in there. And I just felt like the message was lost, about what was going on. So you guys can look at that. All right, people coming in there. So what I've got up here, and then I've included a Watchmen preview issue. I think Sleepy Reader was part of that, and maybe Comic Crack. I can't remember. But we did a thing with Ghost Critic, and I know Sleepy was there, Minutia Minute, and a few other people, where we each took an issue of Watchmen. I did issue 1 and 12, and then people came in and they all took turns doing one issue of Watchmen each, doing a review. I'm pretty proud of that video because I'm the first one I was ever really nervous in. So you're the one responsible for CG. No, absolutely not. I take zero credit for any of that, but it just kind of bothers me that anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So anyway, but this is video, right? And then there's another video in that list if you go back and watch it. But this is the first one. I'm pretty sure this was my first comic book video. This is the one where I'm explaining what I'm doing with for people jumping in now and missing. Oh, I know, man. I know. Oh, totally crack. I get you. I know you're kidding, man. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh yeah, that Watchmen thing was fun. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think I still had the list somewhere. But anyway, going on to this one, but for people who weren't here at the beginning, I've said it, several times over the years and stuff, but I just started these videos because, as you can see, I'm living in a house and not a lot of room. So there's a walk-in closet that I was going to put all my comic book boxes in. So I was making videos for myself. I would put the number one on a box, and then I would have a number one video for a comic book box showing myself what's in there. Because of the way the boxes were going to be arranged, they were going to be 3 deep and stacked on top of each other. So writing on the end of them wouldn't have helped anyway. And I had them stacked numerically and stuff, right? So I'll go back and I've added the list, that very first video where I'm explaining what I'm doing. And I had zero idea that anybody was going to watch this. I knew YouTube was public, but I could not picture anybody typing in anything that would bring me up, because the stuff I watched on YouTube was like music videos, finding old TV shows people had uploaded, different stuff. So this was like I said, in 2010, December of 2010. Look at that young guy.
Figure out what's in each box. I've been doing this since 1977, and I've accumulated well over 30 boxes over the years. I've downsized down where I'm down to 23, and I've done the cardinal sin of I don't know what's what. I got a few boxes that are usually on top of the stacks. I keep them all in a closet, and they're stacked about 4 and 5 high. So we're going to go through box number 1 and see what's there. I get to share this collection, and also I'll be able to go back, see what I need to do to either get rid of these or sell them or reorganize.
All right. That little explanation at the beginning of them, it all came back to me, man. I found out there was a feature on here where you could share the videos. You had a URL, you can still share them, but now it's just clicking and it automatically sends it to an app on your phone and stuff. But back then you could cut, copy, and paste, and it just amazed me. You could send videos to your friends and stuff. And I had friends like Mike and oh my gosh, my brother at the time, I think we were talking, and a few other people I was going to send these videos to. It's all coming back to me now because it's around the holidays. So yeah, I was going to share the videos.
Organize whatever everywhere. I've got some Steranko stuff. Yeah, and here's a ghost. I actually bought a ton of books for 10 cents a piece on Black.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. What I think is the first Howler Mouse video is in there to go all the way back. And I'm just looking at the difference. That's probably 30 pounds lighter, 11 years younger, still in my late 30s. Probably just turned 37 or 38 around that time. So yeah. Oh man, yeah. Yes, I was. I believe you were playing blues and Ramones in the background of many of those early videos. Yeah, absolutely. Had a great time. I had Kiss record in one of them, man, but it was a lot of blues. I can't think. We're going way back now, but definitely Ramones. I know I had music playing in the background of a lot of them ever so softly. And I know there was some blues. I had one where I did my All-Star Squadron collection, and I played a song called 1916 by Motorhead in the back of it. It was the first video I had people come after me. I'm thinking that might be the first video. I'm going to do a little digging, and if it's not the first video, I'll switch it out in the playlist. But I made this list up right before we ate dinner tonight. So I just kind of was like skimming through there, and I'm like, I put in Howler Mouse box 1 is what I put in there. So that's that's from December of 2010. Yeah. Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure I had other videos on there, whether they're there or not. I don't know, but I had concert footage of seeing the Felice Brothers, and it was a lot of concert footage where I was going to like Bristol Rhythm and Roots, and some of the intros I have had pictures of like I've met Tommy Ramone on there. In some of my intros I just had the picture of us. So yeah, I mean, a lot of history and a lot of memories, and this is going to be the kind of thing that now that we're done, we're here at the end and stuff. I'm going to be remembering things and being like, oh, I misremembered that. Or so I'm only human. It's 11 years. YouTube was always something on the side, despite the fact that it was like I had a great appreciation for what I found back then, and for the people who found me and took the time, and the relationships that formed on here, as only you can do on YouTube. So anyway, for people like people watching this, like I said, it's how the playlist is there, Howler's greatest hits, and I do mean that jokingly, you know. So let's get this off there. Great, man. So anyway, been a great 11 years. I've had a fantastic time. Hopefully there'll be other things popping up in years to keep me interested here. And the fact that there have actually been people who like I said, actually have been watching for 11 years in some shape or form, off and on. Super Grey Hulk, if you're watching, you're the first one that pops in my mind every time. You may have been one of the, probably Captain Strangelove, Constant Bromstar, and then Super Grey Hulk. That's how it goes in my head about people who commented for the first time. We've talked about music, talked about all kinds of things that were in my head for 20 and 30 years about comics that I couldn't share with other people. The drama could have been, you know, something I wasn't prepared for back then. Didn't know that could happen, talking about comic books. And I gotta say, man, there's times I overshared. There's times I used the camera as a counselor, and there was times where I was able to reach out to people and give a little advice because we had formed a relationship on here. And then there's people who just kept it light, and we've talked comics and hung out. And like I said, Charlton 66, Comic Quarter, Tylox the Mighty that's on here, Scotty X. I can go on and on and on with the people that I'm always going to remember because YouTube is an amazing thing. We have all found each other in some shape or form, whether you've watched and commented, whether you've watched, commented, and made a video, or and just hang out because seriously, this comic book community has been worldwide. Okay. Even though community is now loosely made, Sleepy Reader and Comic Crack that are on here, they do a live show, right? With you know, we had someone from Germany on there with them for a while, and then we had the great La Rosa, Belgian, living in England. I've done live shows with people from Germany, Portugal, you know, Paolo, what's going on, brother? Jared Osborne, who worked at Marvel's Bullpen. I mean, I met great people with great backgrounds from all walk of life. And like I said, it's all how you look at it. It's not half full and it's not half empty. It's about slowing down and realizing that we're on a platform and a format where I have people from Canada watching, the West Coast watching, all around the world watching. I mean, at some point or time, small numbers, but great people. Numbers don't matter. Sequential Geek is here. He's watched for years. Gore Vidal, who's just absolutely amazing and very underrated with some of the videos I've watched of his. Simply incredible podcast I've met because of this. You know, things like that. Scott, who does Cavern of Chaos, even though we probably grew up about an hour away from each other, it was thanks to YouTube we ended up hanging out. You know, things like that. I can go on and on. Yeah, my world is a different place since I started participating, right? People from all over the world. Yeah, they get it. You get it. Yeah. Yeah. The live chats are the things that keep me going on YouTube. Without that change, I'm not sure I'll still be doing videos. Yeah, right. I mean, like I said, I've gone back and forth. I had videos piled up on me from people that I had absolutely no idea why they had a problem with me. I had people who have praised me in a way that embarrassed me because we're talking about comic books. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you so I don't sound egotistical with that comment, right? And I've told this before, but one of the few times that I actually was recognized at Heroes Con, it's happened a couple times over the years, not a big deal, but this is YouTube fame. If you ever think you have a, you know, if you need to be grounded, this is YouTube fame, right? So I'm sitting there at a box at Heroes Con in Charlotte, Virginia, huge comic book convention. And I'm going through there and I just bought a bunch of comic books. I met Jeff Darrow about 20 minutes before that. Anyway, I got some comic books and I turn around, there's these two kids, and I'm saying they're kids because they were probably 19 or 20, and they're sitting there and they're looking at me across the way here. And I'm like, oh, they recognize me. And they were like, I was like, hey, you guys having fun? And they went, are you Howler Mouse? And I went, yeah, I am. You guys having a good time at the con? And the other one kid looked at the other kid and went, he's so short. Like it made it cooler that I was short. And I'm like, that's YouTube fame right there, guys. But I'll tell you what, the one thing this channel has done for me personally that I never thought about is that it gave me a certain level of confidence in a way that I really got my head out of the comic book boxes and really started going and talking to the creators and giving in and letting them sign books. And I have met so many creators. I wasted a lot of years probably not walking up. Neil Adams really burnt me in a way that I didn't want to meet anybody else. And to a certain extent, I still think ink on a book is vandalism, but that's neither here nor there. You know, the guy who sits here and paid $5 to get Stranko to sign his Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #4. But anyway, now I have a short box, probably 2 short boxes full of signed comics. I got to meet Bernie Wrightson before he passed away. You know, got to meet Tony Harris, got to meet Joe Sennett, George Perez, accidentally blew off Nick Carty, got to meet Mike Zext, all the comic book guys that I finally started talking to and stuff was so worth it. And if I hadn't that part of it, if it hadn't been for YouTube, you gotta understand when I started the YouTube and then would see people talk about signing books and then getting a kick out of like Hippies Collectibles showing a picture of him with Neil Adams, and then somebody else would show a picture with Neil Adams, then I would meet Neil Adams. I'm sitting here thinking we are all one person apart from meeting each other. Neil Adams has no idea how many comic book YouTubers he's met that knows each other. Little things like that started getting in my head. And I explored the comic books that I never would have really known about or touched or given a second chance. So yeah, it's enriched the hobby. It's enriched my life, and it's been fantastic. And the last thing I want to say, and I really wished I'd dug it out before I made the video now that I think about it, but I think it was like around 2011 or 2012 or 13. Why Not Art, who was on my last show, did this incredible sketch of like about 9 of us dressed up like our favorite superheroes that he done, and he mailed a print to all of us. And then maybe about a year after that, probably about 10 or 11 of us spent a year taking a X-Men #1, whatever volume sketch cover, and we mailed it to each other. And when we got it, I started it. And when you got it, you got to draw your favorite superhero on it. Then you would mail it to the next person. You make a video showing that you got it and saying who it was getting mailed to. And then and it took over a year, but it went all across Canada, all the way across America, all the way out to Ireland and a little bit of Europe. And I still have that here somewhere. And I mailed everybody prints of those, which was fantastic. So there has been fun and connections. And I've done this for so long that even though I still think it's great, there is this certain nostalgia and sadness over the loss of when it was so small and more personable. So yeah, I'm going to end up waxing philosophical and waxing all nostalgic and being all sad for what it was and stuff. And then the bumpy ride came, the dark days come. So we're going to look at this like 3 acts. The first act was great. Second act was a little bit dark. The third act has just been going to that great ending and stuff, right? So 11 years, I feel like we're in the third act, nowhere to go but up. I remember that art. I was pretty jealous at the time, was hopeful he would do that again so I could be on that. It was so good. I still have it. I should have pulled it out for this. It's the commentary, man. Great flow. You did more that had kissed that Blarney Stone. Oh man, that's great. That's great. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for popping in. Be excellent to each other, and until we meet again, guys. All right. Later.